ColdFusion Alive, the podcast for the ColdFusion community. Discover practices, tools, techniques, tips, trends, and what's new in the world of ColdFusion today. Brought to you by TerraTech, the ColdFusion experts.
Welcome back to the show. I'm here with Elishia Dvorak from Adobe, and she is the technical marketing manager for ColdFusion and in charge of CF Summit. And we're going to talk today everything about CF Summit that you need to know. And we're going to look at what exactly CF Summit is and why it is so important to the ColdFusion community, why every ColdFusion developer should be going to this. And we'll also look at the technical details of when it is, where it is, how much it costs, special discounts. We'll look at what's new this year, and we'll be revealing for the first time the speakers and topics that have just been announced real soon now that Elishia is excited about. And also a little sneak peek info on the special event this year. So welcome, Elishia.
Thank you, Michael, and thanks for having me. And hello, everyone. Nice to virtually meet you and talk with you today. I'm really excited about ColdFusion Summit this year. So really excited to get into the details and let you know all about it.
Great. So for those people, probably a few percent of people listening don't know what ColdFusion Summit is, but let's make sure everyone knows what it is.
Sure, Michael. So ColdFusion Summit is, number one, it's the largest Adobe developer-focused conference. So it's about 500 attendees typically. And what makes it really unique is that Adobe puts it on for our ColdFusion community. So for us, it's really not only an engagement platform, but it's a gift to the community. And we put a lot of work into this. A lot of budget goes into this. So we hope everybody comes and enjoys themselves.
Wow. And why is it so important to the ColdFusion community that we have CF Summit?
Well, I think the main thing is it really gives the ColdFusion community an avenue to network in person, where they don't get that at a lot of other developer conferences where they're not really focused at all on the ColdFusion technology. But this is really ColdFusion centric. It's got, a lot of ColdFusion specific features and functionalities that'll be represented, but also, concepts and things that the developers would be interested in that are related. So we might have some database, content as well as other content. And it's an all-around great avenue to just find out what's happening with the product and what's new with the product and where we're headed in what direction.
That sounds like it's an important thing to have, and it helps keep the ColdFusion community more alive than it would be if it didn't exist. So I really appreciate you and everyone else at Adobe putting this together. So if someone listening is thinking, why should I go? What would you tell them?
I would tell them, it's definitely probably the most learning that you'll do from a developer perspective, especially a ColdFusion developer's perspective, in the 2 days' time. So I think as far as the learning impact, it's very high. And the other thing is it's relevant. If your company has technology, even different technologies in their stack with ColdFusion, you'll learn about all of the new things that are happening in that space as well. And, it's the largest event that Adobe actually attends as well. So if you have any questions about the product or what direction it's headed in, we'll have all of the executive leadership represented as well as the product team and the engineering resources too. So it's a great overall place to come and gain more knowledge, network with your peers, and it's very inexpensive for the number of days that it is and all of that's involved in that conference.
How many days is it this year?
It's a 2-day conference, so I guess we can get into the when of it. That is November 16th and 17th. So we have both days allocated. There will be 40 sessions in total, including 2 general sessions as well. So a lot of content will be distributed throughout those 2 days. And then we also have an additional day of pre-conference, which is November 15th, and that's on a Wednesday, and that'll be before the conference, which has a full day of labs And you'll have your pick of a couple of different topics, but each of these topics is a full day hands-on workshop where you're actually going to take that content and walk through it with the instructor. Those topics have already been announced as well. We're going to have one topic for pre-conference lab on security. And then we also have a couple of other ones. One is on MVC and development language aspects. And the third one is going to be an API-centric, lab. So you have a lot of different choices for pre-conference labs as well as the main conference learning too.
Mm. And are there a lot of people from Adobe there, from the ColdFusion team that you can talk and meet with, or?
Absolutely. So there's going to be probably, like I said, this is the largest gathering of all of the Adobe folks from the ColdFusion side. And I believe this year we're going to have more Adobe resources there than ever before. So we're going to have additional resources from our QE team, our QE management. So I think that, if there was any year to attend, if you wanted to have a conversation with engineering, we will have a lot of folks there to answer any questions you have and talk about how they implemented these features and functionalities of the product. So it's kind of a cool gathering of Adobe folks too, if you wanted to talk with us about anything.
And also a lot of other ColdFusion developers, great opportunity to network with other people, maybe meet people you've met on the CF Slack channel or on Twitter and meet them in person.
Absolutely, yeah. So you will meet the famous Twitter folks. You'll meet the famous Slack channel participants. Usually they're all there, and we always have, the biggest community members that are, more active in the community. Those folks usually end up having a session or two. So, for example, I know Charlie Earhart's going to be there, and he's going to do a session on some ColdFusion feature sets. And Nolan Irk is going to be there. So we have all of a lot of the really main people that are participants in our community that will also be there, and you can talk with them. The other thing I would mention as part of that, what the little bit that you had said about the attendees is I would say about 60 to 70% of them are developers. So you'll get to talk to developers that are creating the applications and network with them and find out how they're actually implementing things. And I think that's one of the things that folks have told me that they really appreciate about this conference is not only from the developer side, but the other side, which are the managers and the decision makers. You guys get a chance to come together and network with each other and find out, how you're doing the implementations, what technology stacks are being used most frequently, how to solve different different problems that you've seen with development, and where development is going in the future, and how to set yourself up for success in the next couple of years and where that's headed. So it's a lot of information sharing between attendees that's happening, and a lot of information sharing between the speakers and the Adobe representatives as well.
And where is the event happening this year?
Well, that's what I'm really excited about. So we're going to be at a completely new venue. It's the Mirage Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas. And the reason why I'm really excited about this place is, number one, I think with most of the places that we've been to, one of the biggest complaints is the fact that these casinos are extremely large in Vegas. And a lot of people, if you forget your backpack or whatever it is that you wanted to bring from your room down to the event, it takes you 5 to 10 minutes to get back to that room. So with the Mirage, I checked it out. I did the walk, and it takes about 2 minutes tops. From the elevator, you're right outside the elevator, and you head into the venue space. So it's not going to be a heavy walk. You don't have to walk through the casino to get there. And it's a beautiful venue that's kind of tropical, and it's got nice pools outside. So I think there's going to be a lot for everybody to do, even just in the casino itself.
And of course, if you want to visit the casino, it is still there.
It is, yes. So it depends on what you like to do, right?
And is the Mirage the one that has the big water fountain outside, or am I confusing that with something else?
No, Mirage it's kind of a tropical themed casino, and they have on the outside in the pool area, they have a really tropical pool setting. So it's pretty nice. It's really, nicely done. They also have some exhibits with wildlife. So they have, I believe, a dolphin exhibit, and they also have a zoo out in the back as well, which has, I think, the tigers and things like that.
Oh, my. Okay. So
right.
I guess the question in my mind now is, how much does it cost to go?
So right now it's still on early bird. So the full conference pass is $349, and it would be an additional $130 for the pre-conference if you wanted to do the full day of pre-conference labs. We also just gave out an announce rate pass as well. And I can give you guys the code here. It's announced 2017, and that'll give you the announce rate pass of $249 for the full conference. So it's a great deal. You won't get a deal like this with any other conference, I'm sure of it.
No, that's a great deal, especially for a conference in Las Vegas, because I know it costs an arm and at least 3 legs to put on a conference in Las Vegas. So I'm imagining there's a bit of a subsidy provided by Adobe on the pricing.
It is, but like I said, this is our gift to the community. We do spend quite a lot of budget on this, and we subsidize the pricing. And we do that because we really want the community members to have an avenue to attend this conference. We've heard just great feedback from everybody that's attended regarding their encounters with other people. It's a really positive event. It's a lot of learning. And it just really energizes the community. And so we try to give back to the community in that way. And that's our way to do that. We could spend the money on, LinkedIn advertising or something like that. But we really do want to provide an impact to the developers that are working with our products on a daily basis. And we find that this is kind of the most impactful and greatest learning experience that we could provide with that money.
Well, I certainly appreciate Adobe putting this together and making it a really great event and making it affordable. And is it expensive to fly to Las Vegas, or?
No, actually, that's the reason why we chose that particular area. Is we were looking at a lot of different events that were already happening on the East Coast. So we knew we wanted to have something on the West Coast. But also, too, we wanted it to be easy to get to from most places in the States. And as you know, I think the flights to Las Vegas somehow happen to be less than flying most other places in the States. So that was one of the things that drew us to that place. So I would say most of our attendees are kind of coming in from the West Coast. But we do have quite a lot of attendees coming in from the East Coast as well. It just seems to be easy to get to from anywhere you are.
I imagine the casinos have something to do with that, but
Michael, they could, but I don't know yet. I'd have to ask them.
And I also know Southwest runs a lot of flights to Las Vegas, so that's always an economical way to fly there, if nothing else is good. So are there any other discounts for government employees or any other things we should know about?
Yes, absolutely. So we do have a government discount code. We also have a group discount code. So if you want to bring, 3 people or more from your team, please email us at cfsummit@adobe.com, and we'll go ahead and send you those codes so you can register your group at a lower rate.
Wow, great. So as CF Summit's been going for quite a while now, how many years exactly is it now?
This will be our 5th year, Michael, and I'm proud to say that I've been a part of every one of those. It's been, I would say, a learning experience, going through each of these iterations of the conference. I remember the first one, and I had to take, I think I took about 2.5 days of scouting different hotels. And I hadn't seen most of those casinos and the hotels from inside before. So I think my feet were about to fall off by the 3rd day. Where walking through those casinos are it's amazing. I think I had a Fitbit at that time, and I was getting like somewhere upwards around 30,000 steps a day. So it was getting a bit crazy for me. But it was a lot to see. It was a lot to decide on, right? And there's a lot of moving parts when you put these events on, as you well know. So I think we've gotten pretty good at it by now. And so you can take advantage of that in the 5th year, I would say.
Well, that's great. Yeah, I was involved with CF United for, I think it was 11 years in the end. And it's a lot of work putting on one of these events. So hats off to you for doing this 5 years in a row.
This podcast is brought to you by TerraTech, the ColdFusion experts. If you have a ColdFusion app that you don't have time to maintain, TerraTech's ColdFusion Revive service is the answer. And now back to our podcast.
Thanks. Yeah, well, so Kishore Balakrishnan is the hero of all of the events. So I think you guys can thank him. And he's got his team of champions as well that are kind of running this with us. But it's been extremely great to be part of all of these leading up to this too.
Great. So what's new this year?
We've got a lot that's new. Aside from the venue, I think one of the things I'm really excited about is the content. So we've got a few things that I'm, really excited about. Some of the things that I know that everybody wants to see. I know I'd already mentioned that Charlie Earhart's going to be doing some ColdFusion 2016 stuff, but he's going to be doing a little bit different than the hidden gems this year. So I'm excited to see that and how that comes out to be. He's going to be doing what's new in CF 10, 11, and 2016. So I know that he's probably got a lot of gems within that he'll go over, but that's always a great talk. The other thing that I'm kind of excited about is Brian Klaus. He's going to talk about the Amazon Web Services. So he'll get into things like scaling with Amazon. You'll talk about a S3 and microservices with AWS Lambda. So that's exciting to me too. We also have a number of actual engineering topics that look really good. So they're going to have, the engineers are going to have all of that deeper information on, how they built functionality, how they built features. So they're going to be doing a couple of sessions on some of the stuff that they're actually developing right now as we speak, which is going to be for ColdFusion 2018. And I haven't put those on the site yet, but, I think those are going to be real crowd pleasers. So I'm hoping that they work out really well. Couple of other ones that I'm kind of excited about are Nolan Erck's presentation. He's going to be doing a presentation on AngularJS in ColdFusion. So I think that's going to be really exciting because Nolan definitely takes a different approach. He usually kind of builds up on beginner level to intermediate. So you're not lost in his talk. And so I think that's why people are kind of drawn to his talks. But there's a lot of topics that I think are going to be really interesting. And I have a feeling that people might be complaining this year about there being too many choices that are too good for them to choose from. So I hope that happens. But I'll be sorry that they couldn't see all of them.
Well, indeed. And have multiple tracks, and how many are there?
So we're going to have 4 tracks this year. And like I said, there's going to be 40 different sessions as part of those. So I believe we have about 10 different sessions, 9 or 10 sessions that are just from Adobe, either on our own technology with CF 2016 or even what's coming in 2018, like I said. So all of that will be brand new stuff. And I think we've got some surprises for you as well. So that'll be fun.
Wow. It's really a lot of things going on. And then I heard that there's a special event that's exciting this year. Can you tell us anything about that?
Absolutely. So I think anybody that's been to any of our past events would know that the evening event is, it's a culmination of the first day. Everybody's excited. They spent the whole day learning, and it's time to unwind and network with your peers. So we put on usually a cocktail hour in the evening right after the last session of the day. And, we provide appetizers and drinks. And we're going to do that again this year. It'll be within the casino. So it's just outside of where our event is happening. But it's kind of a cool little atmosphere because you get a view of the casino and what's happening. It'll be Thursday night, so there's probably going to be a lot of people around. And then we'll have our own space within, because we're taking over this entire restaurant that they have. And, we're going to serve up some drinks and appetizers for everybody to have a good time for a few hours.
That sounds a great place to network and relax after the learning you've had on the first day. So,
yes, and I know that last year we actually had a band playing, which was quite loud. So I just want to let everybody know that we're not having a band this year. We're going to have ambient music playing on the speakers, but it will not be too loud this year.
Okay, well, that's probably a good thing because people do want to be able to talk without losing their voice, which is always a risk at these events. So I'm just curious, Elishia, is there anything else people can do in Las Vegas while they're there? If they made a weekend of it, for example?
Absolutely, Michael. So we actually have a number of people that have already indicated, even in the speaker level, that are indicating they're going to be staying over either Friday night and Saturday night too. So you can make a weekend of it. A lot of times, people will bring their family members or spouses out and they'll just stay a couple of extra days and make a whole weekend of it. So there's a ton of things to do. I mean, obviously, if you like gambling, they've got the full casino there, and there's a ton of other casinos around. But there's also all those shows too. So I don't know if you've been to some of the shows, but typically in the first couple of years, we actually went to quite a few of the Cirque du Soleil shows, and those are pretty amazing. They've also got the Blue Man Group, and they've got plenty of different concert venue choices too. So there's always excitement in Vegas and things to do outside of that too. And you'll have plenty of time to do that too, because that's one of the reasons we have the evening event a little bit earlier in the evening, so that you can have the rest of that evening to go ahead and enjoy yourself in Vegas.
Oh, well, that's a good idea. And certainly I've seen some amazing shows in Las Vegas over the years. They just go quite over the top sometimes in a good way. And then there's a lot of famous performers. I think Cher has performed there for years, and probably a bunch of other people I'm not remembering the names of. And then the other thing I know when I'm in Las Vegas, just wandering around some of these casinos, like Paris or Bellagio or Venetian, they're like, it's quite amazing.
Yeah, I know. So the Venetian is pretty cool. You mentioned that one. I know they've got the gondolas there, and you mentioned Bellagio. They have that light show that's outside with the fountain. So there's a ton of different things that aren't even, you can just see them while you're walking down the street, and those are pretty cool too. But I think one of my favorites was definitely I think Bellagio has the O show by Cirque du Soleil, and that was pretty amazing. It was like a water acrobat show. So that was cool. And
there's lots of places to eat in Las Vegas too. And often in the casinos, it's really economical to eat an amazing meal.
Yes, and I think that's one thing that the Mirage has over some of the others that we've been to is there are both high-end and lower-end options. So if you just wanted to grab a quick lunch and you didn't want to, you know, make a reservation at some swanky place, you can grab that right there within the Mirage. They've got a lot of different options for that. But I think the food for me, Michael, is my downfall, because I'll end up going and trying all the different restaurants, and I come back five pounds heavier. So yeah, they've definitely got, the food is too good there.
Yes. So anything else you want to share about CF Summit before we switch to a related topic?
I say we just check out the website. It's cfsummit.adobeevents.com, and take a look at it. If you have any questions about it, please feel free to email us at cfsummit@adobe.com, and we'll answer any questions you have. But you should definitely try to make it out there. It's a really great event that you don't want to miss.
And out of curiosity, of the people who went in previous years, how many of them would recommend going again?
I think that number is around 94%. So it's something, like I said, we've got a lot of positive feedback, and people do want to come back. I think most of the time it just comes down to budget typically for people. But if you need any help trying to, negotiate that with your business units, let me know. If you need any extra information for us on what's going to be presented there, the type of content, or anything else that we can do to help you get over there.
Great. So let's switch gears here. And I'm kind of curious, why are you proud to be involved in ColdFusion? Because you've been involved with it for years now.
I have been. So I've been involved with ColdFusion for a number of reasons. Number one, it started out that, I was developing with it years and years ago. But I ended up doing support and supporting different accounts for some time, and making architecture recommendations. And, that's where I got to know about the value, the business value that ColdFusion presents. And I think that it gets a lot of flack for being, one of the first. And I don't think that that's necessarily, how you want to look at it, how you should look at it. But I think that it certainly continues to drive business value for a ton of organizations. And for me specifically, I think just being in this most recent position gave me an opportunity to really make some deeper relationships with customers, the larger accounts that we have, to understand exactly how they're using it and the different use cases. And by doing that, I'm more proud, because not only am I able to understand all of the value that it drives, but I'm also able to talk about that. And I think I talked about this at CFObjective, that, it's very difficult for me not to say the names of the customers that are using this. But, we've got some massive applications that are being built that are driving business, and really critical business for heavy hitting companies, right? And I think that's where I'm proud to be a part of this whole initiative. And I think that ColdFusion is certainly not dead, and it's growing for us, and it's technology that I think people need to try it and before they go ahead and put it down for being the first. So I am proud to be part of that, the ColdFusion initiative.
Well, would you like to come back on the podcast another day and talk about that in more detail?
Absolutely. Yeah, I could talk for a while on that subject. So I don't know if you noticed, but I've got a lot to say. So I'm trying to kind of hold back a little bit, but I would love to come back and talk a little bit more about that subject. Absolutely.
Well, we'd love to have you back on the show for that, because we're here to make ColdFusion more alive. And that, that sounds like a great topic of conversation as to why you think it is so alive and all the good things going on in it. So we'll do an episode on that in the future. But meanwhile, what do you think, what would it take to make ColdFusion more alive this year, in your opinion?
More alive this year. I think definitely more attendance at CF Summit. So that would help. But also, I think that we've been trying to think of different ways that we could engage the community and really provide more training. So that's something that I've been talking internally a lot about and how we can drive that forward. So I think that we'll hopefully get something out within the next quarter or so to start bringing some of those initiatives to play, because I think that what we're missing right now with the product in terms of making more engagement or bringing more engagement and bringing more activity is the training and the ability to quickly and easily find the necessary information to deploy and create apps. So right now we have a lot of resources that are pulling in interns and training those interns. I think it would be great if we provide additional supplemental material to them. And one of the ways that we started doing that is through this developer week next week. Now, next week, the topics are going to be a little bit more on the advanced side, but I think that's a great way for us to keep engaged with the community, to provide additional training and resources, because all of these are going to be recorded, and you can watch them later on if you wanted to go back and check out that information. But I think training is a way that we can keep the product moving forward and keep it more alive.
That sounds like a great thing to do. So what are you personally looking forward to at CF Summit this year?
Personally, I actually really enjoy going and meeting with everybody that I haven't seen since, the last conference or the last CF Summit. And the reason why is that's where I think I get the most valuable conversations going, especially regarding feedback. I think a lot of times people are less, they're kind of, they're less open to putting in a detailed email, or it might take a long time to put in a detailed email about what they want and what things are bothering them about the product. But when I sit down with them, either at coffee or maybe over a drink at the event, then they start letting me know a little bit more about why that is. And I get the chance to really kind of interview them about, well, how do you think it would, make sense for us to move forward with that? What kind of things can we do? What are our options in providing you solutions for that particular problem? So for me, it's about meeting the community again, seeing those familiar faces, and really I don't know, everybody's become my friends these days. So I know about their kids and I ask them about them. So it's a really great environment to kind of, network with everybody, even for me. So that's what I'm looking forward to most, I would say.
Wow, great. So if people wanted to find you online, what's the best way to do that?
Well, I think everything is all over the place, but I think for probably a quick, if you wanted to quickly touch base on something short, certainly Twitter is easy. So my Twitter handle is Elishia Dvorak, ELISH DVORAK. So you can catch me there. The other place is, I would say, maybe the blogs. I usually do some posting on the blogs. And you can certainly email me at my first name at adobe.com too.
Excellent. Well, thanks so much for being on the show, Elishia, and have a great success with CF Summit. I think it sounds like an amazing event this year. So I really appreciate you giving us all the behind the scenes info on it.
Awesome, Michael. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. And I hope to see everybody at CF Summit this year.
ColdFusion Alive. Thanks for subscribing on iTunes. Look for your next episode soon.